Welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to fundamentally flip the script on how you view your own exhaustion and burnout. I mean, if you've ever felt like you're just constantly running on empty, constantly trying to fix yourself and somehow still falling short, well, you are absolutely in the right place. We're about to unpack some seriously fascinating insights that totally challenge the modern narrative around mental health, stress, and what it actually means to be resilient.
Okay, let's just dive right into this by painting a picture that, well, you probably know it a little too well. Imagine this. It's 11 p.m. You're staring at a blank screen, desperately searching for some productivity hack, a new routine, or maybe the perfect podcast to figure out why you feel so incredibly drained. You woke up already dreading the day, and now it's late at night, and you're literally trying to life hack your way out of total burnout. The sheer volume of what you're trying to carry feels crushing, right? But instead of looking at the actual weight of the load, you're looking in the mirror.
Which leads us straight to the dreaded Fix Yourself checklist. Oh, you know the one. You're mentally running through this overwhelming, exhaustive list of self-improvement demands, like, okay, I need to build confidence, heal my past, set boundaries, wake up at 5 a.m., exercise, meditate, journal, go to therapy, manage my emotions, and, oh yeah, somehow stop comparing myself to literally everyone else on the internet. And look, none of these are bad things, for sure, but when this becomes your daily baseline, you're slowly turning a massive systemic load into a feeling of personal failure. You start believing that if you were just, a little more optimized, you wouldn't feel so exhausted.
So, let's move into Section 1, an unreasonable environment.
I want you to take a deep breath and really sit with this quote from a therapist featured in our source material, because honestly, this is the moment the record scratches. Imagine sitting in a room, rattling off all your breathing exercises, your scheduling hacks, your stress mapping techniques, only to be asked if you've considered that, hey, maybe you don't need a new coping strategy. Maybe the environment you're in is just unreasonable. What if the problem isn't your capacity to endure? What if the real issue is what you're being asked to endure in the first place? Think about it. What if your personal struggles are actually completely normal human responses to a totally abnormal world?
And this really brilliantly illustrates the relentless noise of our modern context. Every single day, you wake up, you open your phone, and boom, there's a peer landing a dream job, traveling the world, or launching a startup. Everyone looks perfectly confident. Then you check your messages. Your family wants to know your 5-year plan. Your job expects peak performance every single day. And your bank balance? Yep, it's right there, constantly reminding you of the extremely high cost of independence. Somewhere in the middle of all this noise, it's so easy to sit back and quietly ask yourself, man, why can't I handle life like everyone else seems to?
Which brings us to Section 2, the burden of self-help.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this quiet, massive shift. Over time, we basically stopped looking at the context of a person's life and started trying to fix the person in absolute isolation. If you're anxious, society says, well, you need to manage your anxiety. If you're exhausted, manage your stress. We shifted away from asking a deeply empathetic question, like, what is happening to this person, to a super clinical, isolating one. What is wrong with this person, and how do we fix them?
We have got to remember that mental health does not happen in a vacuum. You simply can't detach someone's mental state from whether they have, say, financial security, meaningful connections, or a real sense of control over their future. As these examples show, our surroundings inevitably and deeply become part of our inner psychological life. A student who literally cannot afford to fail, they're going to experience a standard exam as a massive existential threat. A job seeker facing silent rejections for months slowly starts questioning their fundamental human worth, or an employee in a deeply unsupportive workplace eventually calls themselves burnt out, while the toxic workplace itself gets off scot-free and completely unquestioned.
That leads us into Section 3. Therapy has its limits. Now, what's really fascinating here is the stark contrast between your external reality and your inner voice. Because the hardest part about prolonged stress is that eventually you actually stop noticing the harsh environment and start noticing only your own perceived flaws. External pressure literally rewires your inner voice. An inability to keep up with an impossible pace suddenly becomes, I'm just lazy. Repeated failure in a tough market turns into, maybe I'm just not good enough. It shows how easily we confuse navigating an impossible environment with simply being inadequate. We aren't just experiencing the struggle anymore, we actively start blaming ourselves for struggling.
And that leads us to the paradox of modern advice. I mean, imagine being told to just think positively when you literally do not know how you're going to pay rent next month. Or being told to believe in yourself after 50, yes, 50 silent job rejections.
Or, my personal favorite, being advised to stop comparing yourself when every single device you own is algorithmically designed to show you exactly what you're missing. Or being told to set boundaries when doing so might actually cost you your income. Now look, sometimes self-help isn't wrong. It's simply not enough to fix a broken environment.
Which brings us to this really vital comparison. To be super clear, reframing all of this doesn't mean we don't need therapy. Not at all. Therapy is absolutely life-changing for processing trauma, finding clarity, and regulating emotions. But we cannot ask it to solve problems that exist far outside the therapy room walls. Therapy can help you process workplace abuse, sure, but it cannot make an abusive work environment healthy. It can help you sit with financial insecurity, but it isn't going to pay your bills. An individual can desperately need therapy, and their environment can still desperately need to change. Both of those things can be true at the exact same time.
Let's wrap things up with Section 4, Rethinking Resilience.
We really must ask ourselves, what are we demanding people to be resilient against? For the longest time, the only question has been, how do we make people more resilient? But we need to take a hard look at the misuse of this concept. There is a massive, fundamental difference between helping someone build inner strength and continuously asking them to tolerate conditions that are literally making them sick. Does taking personal responsibility for our growth matter? Absolutely, 100%. But personal responsibility should never, ever be used as a convenient excuse to ignore our profound need for collective care.
So instead of constantly asking how to teach you to carry a heavier load, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to chew on. Why were you left to carry it all alone in the first place? What would it actually look like if we stopped trying to fix ourselves in complete isolation? It's really time we start asking why we aren't creating spaces, workplaces, homes, and friendships where people feel supported rather than constantly tested. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I truly hope this helps you look at your own resilience in a whole new light.